The Biden administration has been pushing 500,000 EV charging stations to be built on our highways all across America by the year 2030.
Yeah.
Legislation was signed 2 years ago, and they have only built 8.
Well, here's the thing. If they want us to drive electric vehicles, you've got to be able to plug it in somewhere. You know, my wife and I didn't buy an electric car, but we did get one of these hybrids, which at the height of gas being very expensive, we essentially drive for free, which we love. But when we take a trip down to like Washington to see Peter and Mary, there's no place to plug the car in.
What if I told you that your dependency on a car isn't just a matter of convenience? It's a business strategy that's been in play for over a century, and you didn't even see it. From Ford's assembly lines to today's EV price wars, global markets have shaped how we moved. But not every country plays by the same rules. Today, we're going to talk about the business of dependency. Stay tuned. Today, we're going to unpack the business of dependency. We'll explore the different global markets and how they shaped the need for vehicles, from the US's suburban sprawls to Europe's walkable cities and Asia's dense megacities. If you want to understand more about how business decisions drive infrastructure, you don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Kentucky is the latest state to use federal funding to expand electric vehicle charging stations. It broke ground on Monday, but as CBS News national environmental correspondent David Schechter shows us, the rollout has been far slower than anticipated.
When you're in California doing a story about electric cars, you got to rent an electric car, go for a cruise. 10 miles an hour on the freeway. Not exactly what I had in mind.
Unlike the speed of traffic in Los Angeles, the sale of electric vehicles in the U.S. is really moving. Last year, Americans bought 1.4 million of them. More electric vehicles means fewer greenhouse gas emissions that warm our planet. But there's a downside. There are not enough publicly available electric chargers to juice all those cars up.
So I've got an app. I'm going to find us a charger.
Okay.
That means in California, the state with the most EVs, finding a charger that's working and also available
Someone's in it.
can be a challenge.
They're all in use. It's definitely blocked. There are no chargers here.
One way to address the EV charging gap is better maintenance of the chargers we do have.
Charger that you thought you were going to use to refuel your vehicle is actually inoperable. So that's a problem. That's a problem, right? That's a huge problem.
While the U.S. doubled down on cars and vehicles with the Ford assembly line, other markets saw an opportunity elsewhere. Let's compare. Every winning business has one thing in common. They ask the right questions. Not just any questions, but the kind that forces you to think differently and act decisively. Most entrepreneurs, they fail not because they're lazy, but because they're asking the wrong questions. Questions like, how do I get more sales? Instead of saying or asking, how do I create demand? Now that's a game changer. This is why I recommend the book, Who Said So by Michael E. Parker. This business book challenges you to reframe your thinking and unlocks the power of better questions, the kind that drives clarity, strategy, and results in your business. So if you're ready to move from guessing to winning, grab a copy of Who Said So today, shift your mindset, shift your business. You already have the hustle, now get the wisdom to match. Remember, clarity isn't luck, it's strategy. Europe took a different approach. While the US funded highways, Europe invested in public transit and cycling infrastructure. When you look at Amsterdam, for example, nearly 40% of all trips that are taken by bicycle. In Paris, entire sections of the city are now car-free zones. The result, more walkable, healthier, and more sustainable city. In 2010, I got an opportunity to go to London. I had an opportunity to do some training with the British paratroopers, the parachute regiment. And I got a chance to try the food, walk around on the tube, and what I realized, I saw no people that were overweight and obese. I saw people walking. I saw old people walking. I saw young people walking. I saw people riding bikes. And what I realized that the zoning laws were different. That here in America, for example, the mall, shopping centers, a lot of commercial areas were different from residential areas. And to get to those places, you had to drive because they're so far away. Whereas in London, they have a robust transit system with buses, those double stacked buses, the tube, please mind the gap. And you could walk to a lot of places. And that really opened my eyes of how the United States have engineered the way we move around and have freedom. You are dependent on a car, whereas other places like Europe, they're not dependent on the car. A lot of things were developed in terms of zoning laws so that they are in walking distance to the things that they need.
Instead of 3 or 4, we expanded the number of zones to include any land use type we could think of. We now commonly have separate land uses for residential, commercial, industrial, agriculture, and public space, with even more zones within those categories. Just look at the zoning code from where I live. There are several kinds of commercial zones, for example, including zones for tourist serving commercial, big box commercial, and downtown commercial.
Then there's Asia, home to some of the most densely populated cities. Now, in Tokyo and Singapore, they didn't have a lot of the space to build sprawling highways like we do here in the United States. So they did something else. They mastered the art of transit efficiency. Vehicle ownership is discouraged in some places by making it expensive. Like Singapore, for example, they have the Certificate of Entitlement system, which makes owning a car a luxury, not a necessity.
The COE system has failed spectacularly. Before we delve into this topic, let us run a brief overview of the Certificate of Entitlement, or COE. Introduced in 1990, a COE gives a person the right to own and use a vehicle in Singapore for a period of 10 years. The COE system has undergone multiple tweaks and revisions over the years, including changes to the vehicle classification categories, as well as the method for computing the COE quota. In land-scarce Singapore, there must be a system to regulate the number of vehicles. Otherwise, the roads in Singapore will be even more congested than cities such as Jakarta or Bangkok. However, is the current COE system effective? Let's be frank. A $1 COE or a $100,000 COE does not change the number of vehicles on the roads. In fact, the higher the COE, the greater the propensity to use the vehicle due to the sunk cost fallacy.
Now, in Latin America, things get a lot more complex. Take Bogota, Colombia, for example. They couldn't afford fancy subways, high-speed trains, so they innovated. They created the Bus Rapid Transit, the BRT system. These are buses that act like trains, but without the billion-dollar tunnels. It's cheaper, faster to implement, and moves millions of people daily. This model is now being replicated in cities like Mexico City and Nairobi. Every market has a different playbook, but the competition is the same. Control how people move? Here's where it gets interesting. EVs. They are reshaping the competition.
They're a vision of the future that is now beginning to happen. A future of the automobile industry that is electric. Battery electric, plug-in hybrid electric, fuel cell electric. It's electric, and there's no turning back. The question is whether we'll lead or fall behind in the race for the future.
The U.S. is betting big on EVs with the Inflation Reduction Act, which includes $7.5 billion taxpayer dollars to build EV charging stations. The goal is to reduce dependency on foreign oil and to challenge China's dominance in the EV market. But is it enough? What are your thoughts? Comment below. Meanwhile, in China, they're flooding the global market with affordable EVs from companies like BYD.
What's up, guys? Right behind me is a car from China, which is a big deal because there's currently no Chinese manufacturers in America, which is kind of a shame because this car is really cool. So obviously you can use your key, or you can leave your key at home and use NFC. This car is a plug-in hybrid, and on just the battery, it can do about 60 miles, which is more than any plug-in hybrid in America. And on a full charge and a full tank of gas, it can do well over 650 miles. And you're getting that range with it being all-wheel drive. Inside, you get a panoramic roof I can open by just tapping this button. Your seats are heated and ventilated. You have a wireless charging pad, storage space down there, a vertical screen that works super fast. You have a digital display right over here, and a built-in microphone for karaoke. This also has an air purification system, but watch this. Hung ping.
收到.
Even with 100% tariffs, they can sell vehicles here for under 20 grand, which is amazing. And so that lets you know a little bit about the global markets. I got my MBA with a concentration in global business at the University of Redlands not too long ago, a couple of years ago. And I am really fascinated about global markets, the politics and the geopolitics that surrounds this subject around business, around strategy. And I thought that this topic and the framework around dependency was key because different countries, different municipalities find ways to create dependency so that business leaders can, turn a profit. And so you see a lot of lobbyists in the midst, especially here in the United States, lobbying for certain rules and certain regulations that benefits their business. What do you think about that? So how does this apply to business strategy and to you as a business leader and an entrepreneur? Let's break it down using two key principles of what I like to call a winning strategy framework: where to play and how to win. Now, principle number one, where to play. In the US, the play is centered around car ownership. Buying a car is stressful. Going to dealerships trying to find a car, it's ridiculous. Now, automakers, oil companies, infrastructure planners, politicians, lobbyists, lawyers, they have all agreed, play in a space where they control the outcome. Now, principle number two, how to win. China's strategy for EVs, for example, flood the market with cheaper products. Japan's strategy for trains, own the best transit system on earth. Europe's strategy for cycling, build cities where cars aren't needed. Different plays, different wins. Here's the tweet: winning in a market depends on where you play and how you choose to win. Here's the question I'll leave you with. Is your business model creating dependency or breaking it? Whether you're selling products or services or both, this idea applies to you. If you control a critical resource, you win. If you rely on someone else's control, you lose. This isn't just a story about cars, it's a story about control.
Minerals in electrical vehicles versus gas cars. Green is what it takes to build EVs, okay? Green is the EVs, black is the gas cars, okay? So zoom in a little bit from the biggest green to the smallest green. So to build an EV, you need 66.3 kilograms of graphite, okay? Then you need 53.2 kilograms of copper. For gas, you only need 22.3 kilograms of copper for a gasoline car. For EV, you need 39.9 of nickel. You need 24.5 of manganese. Okay, you only need 11.2 kilograms for a gas. You need 13.3 of cobalt, 8.9 of lithium. Anyways, this continues, right? All these rare metals that you need. Well, guess what country, natural resources, has the most of these rare metals? Go to the next slide.
China?
Red China.
Oh. Weird.
It's not even weird. It's luck. It's got nothing to do with weird. It's like Venezuela has gold. It's like Saudi Arabia has oil. Venezuela has oil. The part that is deeply concerning for me on why they're able to dominate is because they have the minerals in their country to build it so cheap.
If you found value in this video, please like, subscribe, and comment below on your thoughts on vehicle dependency. I would love to hear what you think. Do you see parallels in your industry or in your business model? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you want to keep the conversation going, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more insights on business strategy, global markets, and competitive advantage. I am on Instagram and X at ccolemanbiz, that's B-I-Z. I have a website where you can read blogs, you can schedule coaching sessions, advisement on various things, business problems, project management. I would love to help. You can go to thebizintelgroup.com. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.